Morning everyone, afternoon or evening depending on where you are on the planet. We're here today with a video looking at the M46 Patton. One of the reasons I wanted to look at it was because it's one of the most hated tier 9 mediums, as well as the tier 10 variant is also not very appreciated amongst the World of Tanks community. And I wanted to basically show it off and see how it goes. The current Patton on display is the fully upgraded 105mm gun. As it is, it's been playing it a few times, it's been fairly alright. But one of the things I wanted to show you why it is it's not very universally agreed on by people is partly the armor as well as the turret and amongst other things. But I'll show you why it is actually quite a good tank. So we're going to have a look at the armor viewer and we're going to show you why, as is a prime example here. The armor is not particularly amazing. The tank itself does falter on some parts. The turret is particularly easy to pen on very many occasions. If you compare it to say like the T-54, some of the Russian mediums, it's not really the tank that you really want to go for. If you're looking for something easy to play, has a good mobility, and also not only can deal the damage, but also take the damage and bounce it. This isn't a tank that can take damage. One of the things it does have going for it is its massive view range. 410 meters is something which outplays quite a lot of other tier 9s, if not every single other one of them. So what I wanted to do was show you it in game and how well it plays. The overall tank playing it, I start to feel a different style of play going on very, very quickly. It's not a tank you brawl with, it's a tank you spot with, it's a tank you take out and sit on a ridge line and go over the top. The gun depression helps a massive amount. The alpha damage is off the chart in terms of how much it can deal and its rate of fire. So what I wanted to do was then, I tried to get some games where it was actually useful. You'll still see some parts of my medium play going into it where I do take a more of a Russian medium approach, even though the tank itself isn't really meant to be played the same as it. So I've been slowly learning how to replay it again. From that, I've been looking to ease my way back into the M46 Patton because I need one more. This is my last tank I need for the M48, and then I've got all the American tanks done. And I thought during Tank Bowl I would get the Americans done, since I'm getting the silver bonus 1.25 and the XP bonus. And there's nothing better than having an XP bonus on a tank, which is not particularly the best one to play. So without further ado, I will jump right into it. So we're here playing on Ghost Town. This is not my most favourite map at all, not specifically to as well to take into advantage of the view range, which is very, very good on this M46 Patton, but I wanted to show you a different variant of how you can play this tank. And one of the things that people tend to find when they're playing the brawler tanks, your T-54, T-62, you can take it in town. You have to put up with a gun depression on a regular basis, but if you can hit people whereby you have a decent shot at them, where you can use your gun depression really, really well, or lack of, and therefore you can be in the middle and be forward and be aggressive. With the M46 you can't really do that. You have to be more of a retreated back person, a sniper so to speak, even though you're not a tank destroyer. So one of the first things I'm going to be doing is going down towards the left hand side from our spawn. I want to get shots onto people on the far right hand side, use the bushes to my advantage, use the fact that the alpha is there. Yes, the penetration value on the standard rounds isn't too good, but there may be side shots that I can get on people, and if I can, getting that 350 to 400 damage on it is very, very useful. But also at the same time, when I'm running through, the hills that are in front of me are very, very good for to only pop my turret over the top. The turret might not be very effective in terms of bouncing shots, but if I give them less of a target to hit, it makes me less of a target to actually get penned. The VK Bravo, not the most ideal thing for me to come up against, but I see the waffle in the distance, so I can get a couple of decent shots into him, maybe one or two, but I'll take my shots and see what I can do with it. Do get detected straight away, so again, rolling back down. The waffle's a primary threat. With it being a tank destroyer, it's going to make light work of my paper armor. Unfortunately, where he is now isn't where I shot. You will find RNG plays a big trolley effect on this tank. When you're trying to shoot things from long range, you are more than likely going to miss, so do take that into account if you're trying to aim at weak spots on tanks that you can't physically hit. It's very, very good at being a peekaboo sniper. Peeking over the top, the bush is just in front of me, but at the same time I can then use it to make sure I can try and get shots on people without being detected, or if I'm going to be detected, take shots and roll back into cover before I'm hit. That is one of the advantages of this tank. Now I'd seen where the waffle had shot me from, because I'd used a little marker at the top, and then his second shot gave his position away. Not something that is particularly useful for this tank itself, but something if you are going to be playing in game, maybe take advice of it or take note of what's actually shooting you and where from. You can use the same principle to find out where the artillery is. At the moment now, we're kind of stuck. The STI is not something of a tank I want to be facing, not least which in this tank, even in say a T-54. But if I fired APCR or heat in that variant, it might very well come well. Fortunately, the STI is looking at someone else, so I can then take a couple of good shots into him. The reload is something to take into account when you do play this tank, by the way, though. The alpha is very, very good for the tank it is. Tier 9, dropping 300-400, maybe even sub 420 is useful. And the 3 shots into him have done very, very well for me. But the moment he turns around is the moment I'm a bit screwed. I've got the STI looking at me with a big, derpy gun, so I don't want to be doing anything that actually puts me out in the open or puts me in line of fire. The Type 4 Heavy, do be noted that you are going to bounce on stuff like that. When I've been playing this tank overall, from these types of maps to ones where they might be open, Westfield as an example, or Prokhorovka or Malinovka, the view range has definitely helped. Being able to spot things just with coated optics, not even with binos, being able to spot things from a massive distance away has been one of the reasons why I've enjoyed playing this tank. I haven't really found myself in a position where I'm thinking, I hate this tank, I don't particularly like it, I don't like the fact that it doesn't pen, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. It does really well if you play it well. But if you a different type of player whereby you want to be moving forward, you want to be moving back, you want to be brawling up in the front, if you have a various different style, you're going to have to learn something new with this particular tank itself, whether it is due a buff, whether it actually got a buff, because I remember playing this before and I really didn't like it at all. Not comparing it to the T54, it was poor, so I don't know if it has have a buff or not, but either way it's been more enjoyable playing it now. So either I've got better, or they have nerfed like secret buff, maybe, I don't know. But I haven't moved too far forward, and the game itself is kind of centered around the middle as it does in Ghost Town. And now I've got the problem of the Type 4 Heavy coming around the corner, as well as the Death Star getting a bit too aggressive. This is where things start going a bit downhill for me. Ideally, what I should have done was run all the way to where our team is, but I wanted to see what the Death Star was doing. Now, he knew where we were because of the Type 4 Heavy spotting us, so I could use the speed of the tank to get out of the situation. I know that I could wait until the Type 4 fires and then run away, or I could do what I decided to do, which is every now and then take a couple of pot shots, use the APCR to pen the lower front plate to ensure a pen, because RNG I find affects the tank such a lot. I don't want to be in a position whereby I'm screwed. And the Type 4 Heavy, with it being a very slow tank to move, I wanted to try and see if I could flank him. Wasn't really ideal. The Death Star, you can see he went round the corner and then came back. I didn't realise the Heavy behind us had got killed. Now, unfortunately, the Death Star did come back round the corner and get the final kill. Had I noticed it, I probably wouldn't have gone up where the mouse was. I probably would have just gone straight on. But then, stuff like this happens in games, so you kind of want to take note of what happens on the mini-map. Maybe not get too much in the face. If we're going to take anything from the game, the Death Star is always going to come around the corner, so it's more than likely I would have died. But I can't see where people are starting to really dislike this tank. Maybe if they're basing it off the T54 or off other tanks that have something that goes for them. Armor, I think, is one of the things people rely too much on in this game and don't really see other aspects of the tank. So when you find a tank with paper armor, you find yourself going, well, why would anyone play it? Yes, you are going to get taken out, but there has to be something that counters that. I believe that the alpha, as well as the view range itself, the mobility is actually quite good, is one of the things that makes this tank very, very useful. Yes, the armor itself is the main reason as to why people may not want to play it, but you can use other aspects of the tank to then get forward or do different things that would then not be a usual thing in your Russian mediums. And I always compare it to the Russian mediums because it's one of the most popular medium tanks that people play. The fire rate, the armor, the mobility, the view range, the camo rating, everything, that has it going for it. But there are other things that make this tank very, very good. The game itself wasn't too particularly amazing in terms of damage. I have had other ones that I haven't decided to record for obvious reasons because I believe RNG affects it. But overall, 4,200 isn't too much of a bad game, especially when you consider what we were coming up against and the fact it's on Ghost Town, so it's very much a smaller map. Not one where you'd want to be brawling or be spotted against, but you're always going to be spotted. So making use of the cover that's behind me and trying to help my team, as it turns out to be, to take out the primary targets and getting shots onto people that are maybe fighting other people. So overall, I've gotten better at the tank and I've also preferred the tank. It's not one that I want to go, I'm going to sell it straight away and move on to another line. The tank bowl coming up that's on now, it's very, very much inclined to go, do you know what, I'll suffer through the ground and get the XP and then find out, actually, it's not as bad as what I thought. 19 shots, 17 direct hits and 12 pens. Probably could have done better if I actually decided to aim the shots very much well. RNG, like I say, does take a bit of a toll on that. So if you do want to have a look at this tank, do so. Do be under the idea that if you played the other medium tanks, not going to be one you're going to enjoy straight away, so you're going to have a different learning curve to go with it. But I would say go for it because you are going to enjoy it. The M48 Patton, probably a different story. When I do get it, I'll probably do another video on that and show you why it is that that one maybe isn't such a good tank. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I shall see you people later.